Happy holidays.
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
Happy
Holidays from CHEEMA Connect to you and your beautiful families. Welcome to CHEEMA Connect.
You're pretty good.
Well, I practiced all morning. Welcome to this December episode of CHEEMA Connect. We are here in the shop in Pacific, Washington.
Pacific, Washington.
Yes, happy holidays. We've got some great decorations here. It's that time of year.
Yeah,
Christmas
I
tree
love
behind me. I'm joined by your friend and mine, CEO and Presidente, Harman CHEEMA. Harman, thanks for making some time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Nice to have you back on the show.
Yeah, it's been good.
I got a lot of great stuff to talk to you about. Are you ready?
All right, let's rock and roll.
I want to know, first of all, well, we got to remind the followers at home, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And hit that like button and subscribe button below.
That way you get all the great content, notifications and reminders of when we're adding great stuff. If you have not already, I'm not sure where you found this episode today, take a minute, do yourself a favor, and go to YouTube. Search CHEEMA Freight Lines, find our channel, and take a look at all the great content on there. We've got all sorts of episodes from past episodes of CHEEMA Connect. We've got training content on there, and we've got all sorts of fun introducing you to different teammates, and you get a little glimpse of what we do and what the culture is like here at CHEEMA Freight Lines. I'm a huge fan. I think you'll find a lot of stuff that you'll enjoy on that channel. So take a minute, look at that, and again, like and subscribe so you can be notified when more content is added, like this episode. Harman, let's get things started off on the personal side. Tell me, how's the fam?
Fam is doing good. I took little guy to Disneyland.
You did?
Yep.
First time?
Second time.
Okay.
Yeah, I took him a couple weeks ago and had a blast. First time he was pretty small, so this time got to ride a little bit more of the ride. So it was fun. It was fun. A lot of people. A lot of waiting. I don't know. Why do we go to these places just to go? It's all exciting to go stand in line for hours and hours and hours.
It's for the love of the kids.
I know.
The kids love it.
Got to get to know Walt so I can skip the lines.
There's got to be a faster way. Hey, did he enjoy it? Did you guys take him to the Cars section? The Cars part?
That was his favorite. He enjoyed that. He got to see Mater and the Queen, and now he knows that they're real.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Well, we've got a lot of other updates to share out. I know you've got news on Phoenix, Arizona. What would you like to share with the people out there about that?
Yeah, we just acquired a property about a week and a half ago in Phoenix. It's 6.5 acres. It's got some land that's already developed that we can start using immediately, so we can get out of our current drop yard and move some into there. But we got to do it needs a little TLC, so we'll get some of that going soon. And then it's got some acreage for us to grow. So it's a good size yard. We're excited about it. It's right in the middle, right where all of our customers are, right there between Tolleson and Phoenix. So we're really, really excited about that growth. It's been a long time coming. So once we get some TLC and all that good stuff going, we'll be making some more announcements and get things moved over there. So we'll have, it's got a little warehouse on it, and then we'll get some office space going too. So we'll actually have office presence down there as well soon. So looking forward to kicking off 2024 and getting that going.
Holy cow. And that's been something we've been talking about for quite some time.
Yeah, we've been working on it for a while, but we were able to get something acquired and get it going. So Phoenix is booming, and we're excited to be right there in the middle of it.
Well, sweet. That's great to hear. Also, a quick update. One of our drop yards has relocated. We were in White City, Oregon. Okay. We found a great spot to move across town.
We're in Medford.
That's right.
Right by the freeway,
right off the freeway.
On Freightliner's property. Yep. So.
And it's a fenced area. I don't know that it was fenced before we moved in, but they...
I think they fenced it for us.
They did it for us.
Yep.
And so all the equipment that parks there will be safe.
Yep.
That's fantastic. So White City over to Medford, Oregon. Just a quick update there. I also want to remind the folks that we are smack dab in the middle of open enrollment. So if you have to make a change to your benefits, medical, dental, vision, check your email.
Now's the time.
Now is the time. You should have gotten an email, and it has any forms you need to make changes with, and you would send that information off to hr@CHEEMAFreightlines.com. So check your emails.
Yep. If you have any questions, who do they get a hold of? Start with the driver manager?
Start with their driver manager, and they'll escalate it accordingly. They can get a hold of HR. We've got a team. We've got driver services, and we're all here to help.
Perfect.
But I'll also add to that it is a passive enrollment. And so if you're happy with your coverage, no effort needed on your part.
So if I like my benefits, I don't have to do anything?
That's correct.
Perfect.
Also, I might add that this year, just like last year, there are no increases to the premiums. 2 years in a row. No increases.
Yep.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, because of the way our group performed and overall our negotiating power as we got bigger, right? So, which is that scale is huge. It's important, and that's what we've been working on for a while now. So with that, we were able to keep it a flat line renewal, while many other companies are seeing 10, 12, 15, 20% increases right now. That is true. We were able to keep it at nothing, flat. So very, very excited to deliver that news. Good work to everybody involved. Big shout out to the HR team for helping get that done.
And again, if you need no changes, there's no action required on your part. If you do need changes, check your email for those forms and the information in there. All right. I wanted to remind folks, just like Phoenix Terminal, that's a really big news. That's a really big, exciting thing to announce. Also, earlier this year, we started going to a new place in our geographic running map.
Where's that?
Texas. Who wants to go to Texas? I do.
Yeah. So
check it out.
It's we started. We've opened up like the Dallas market, right? So we're going to Dallas. We're going to Austin a little bit, mostly Dallas area. So we picked up a customer out there. They were excited to, or actually one of our existing customers has some freight that they wanted shipping out of there coming back west. And so we took the leap and said, yeah, we'll help you with that. So let's get it started. So we're kind of in that right now. It's not a big market for us today. We're just kind of developing it. There's not enough freight to run the whole fleet that way. So I know everybody's going to be like, oh, get me on it, get me on it, get me on it. We'll try to do the best we can to spread the love, but it's kind of very much trial-ish right now, and we're testing it out, making sure it's a good fit, make sure we can make some money on it. At the same time, we're excited. I think we can make it work. So we're working on building that freight network in and out of that market right now.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
If you've been tracking with CHEEMA Freight Lines for any period of time, you know that we were born and raised here on the West Coast. We added Western 11 earlier this year. Now we're going into Texas. I mean, sky is bright.
Yeah, so we've got trucks and in every market in the western states now, you can say, except for Denver. We're not in Denver yet, but we're in Dallas. We're in Phoenix. A lot of trucks in Phoenix. A lot of trucks in Southern Cal, Northern Cal, West Coast, Oregon, Washington, Boise area, Salt Lake, Montana, every day.
Yeah, fantastic. Lots of huge things to celebrate.
Yep.
I want to spotlight a few things that we'd like to ask from our group of professional drivers. CHEEMA Freight Lines drivers, second to none. They're the best in the business, but we'd be remiss if we didn't take the opportunity to remind us some good things to help us continue to perform at the highest level.
Absolutely.
One of those things, especially this time of year, winter and Christmas is coming, following distance. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yep. Make sure you're leaving enough space between you and the vehicle in front of you. Now, I understand, semi-trucks, we're trying to leave space, and all these cars are trying to get in that space, but you're the professional driver. You need to make sure you're leaving enough space because it's going to get slick, it's going to get slippery, and we got to make sure you guys are coming home in the same condition you're leaving. So that's number one priority for us.
And there's more vehicles, more shoppers out there this time of year.
Right.
So you got to contend with an increased volume of vehicles on the road, in addition to the conditions you'll be driving through. So that following distance is your friend. You are in control of that. Make sure you travel with lots of healthy space in front of you this time of year and always, but especially this time of year. Another piece we want to spotlight on, making sure we are taking care of our empty equipment, and we're not just kind of running roughshod on where we're going for an empty trailer. Sometimes you'll deliver a drop and hook load, for example, and you'll deliver your drop delivery, and there's no empty trailer there. What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, so we've been working hard over this year to try to get more and more sophisticated on how we do trailer assignments. We're not the best at it by any means at all right now, but if you're going into a facility where you're going to drop and it's not a live unload, please ask your driver manager ahead of time, or maybe when you get the pre-plan, hey, where should I go to get an empty? Or maybe the day before you're going to deliver, where am I going to get my next empty? And that way we can start getting ahead of it and kind of, plan for it, right? We've had drivers that just kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but they're kind of running amok and just picking up trailers wherever they want, and it's shorting pools where we need those trailers there for the next loads to, ship out. So it's hurting that, and we're losing freight that way. At the same time, they're delivering loads to places, and maybe the trailer's way out in the back somewhere. They don't want to get it. They just bobtail to the next facility and pick up their load. And guess what? You just shorted another driver potentially to have that next load loaded. So this is a big deal. We need to pay attention to this. We need to work together as a team. We're working hard on this side between driver managers and planners to plan for those trailers. So please, please, please do your part and get ahead of it with your driver manager and say, where am I going to get my next empty? And so we can start working together to come up with a good solution. We're going to continue to find ways with technology and all that good stuff to try to automate some of this down the road. But right now, there's no point in automating something if we can't get good at it manually.
That's right. It's a good reminder. Let's move on to pre-trip and post-trip inspections. We want to make sure that the equipment we take out there, top notch. Look at this beautiful rig behind me. Beautiful, gorgeous.
Expensive.
And our drivers are diligent to do their pre-trip inspections and post-trip inspections at the beginning and end of each shift. But I just want to continue to make sure that we're doing that so that we report any defects that we find and get those taken care of before we put that on the roadway, just because we want to make sure that you're getting home safe. We want to make sure that everybody else we're driving on the motoring highways are safe. So continued vigilance on that is appreciated.
Yeah, we're proud of our fleet. We're probably one of the best looking fleets out there on the West Coast. That brand, our brand, the safe drivers driving them, it shows, and we get lots of good compliments from other drivers from other companies. We get a lot of drivers that want to come drive for us because of that. They see our equipment, it looks nice. We got, we're spending a lot of money on new stuff, new trailers, new trucks, and keeping them modern. Speaking of keeping modern, by the end of this month, end of December, our oldest truck is going to be a 2022 for over-the-road trucks. So that's a big deal. So we're investing in, trading out our 2020s and 2021s and keeping the youngest fleet out there, because our job is to deliver freight and be safe out there and be rocking and rolling, not be sitting in shops rebuilding engines and all that good stuff, right? That's not what we do.
So moving on, taking time to do some thoughtful trip planning. We talked about following distance, but taking that one step farther, this time of year especially.
Got to pay attention to that weather.
Got to pay attention to that weather. Use your apps, use the tools at your disposal to make sure you see what's ahead on your dispatch route line. And do some careful trip planning. Figure out how long it's going to take you to get from A to B, to deliver your load or drop it at that relay point, and let dispatch know. Also, add a little extra time.
Yep, it's slick out there.
Helps.
The weather's there. Pay attention to the weather. We've had several, maybe not several. We've had a few winch outs already because of snowy conditions, or drivers didn't chain up. They were just going up, and then it slows down, and then they got stuck. So, and each winch out's $500, $600, $700, $800,000. That's a lot of money. We lose all the profit out of that load you're hauling, and probably out of several more loads you're going to haul just to make up for that. So, I mean, it's trucking. We don't make a ton of money per load, but it's we got to pay attention to those winch outs. And then pay attention to, speed around curves and all that. We had a rollover a couple of weeks ago in bare pavement, no weather, in the greatest. I mean, the weather was fine. There was no snow or ice or nothing. And I don't know if, it was fatigue or what, but went around the corner too fast and rolled the entire truck, trailer, everything over. So we lost the cargo, lost the trailer, lost the truck. Fortunately, the driver was okay. But it's all because of just speed around the curves and just pay attention. You got to pay attention, because as we get into new territories, new areas, that's the scary part, right? Everybody wants to run to new areas, but it's new territory. It's getting to learn new areas and all those things, and it's got to pay attention even more because there's new obstacles. So back in the days, we could just say we're just running up and down I-5. We know there's 2 or 3 lanes everywhere, and bam, off we go, right? But now in some of these other states, there's a lot of single road highways and not a lot of shoulders and some of those things. So not a lot of traffic, which is good, but the trade-off is you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So because of being out in the middle of nowhere, I want to just remind everybody, make sure you got fuel. Make sure, you have all that. You have extra coolant, have extra oil, have food just in case, all those things, water, because you're literally out in the middle of nowhere in some of these places, in Idaho or in Utah or in, some parts of Nevada or whatnot, right? So please pre-plan your trips and make sure you're safe out there doing that. So I think that's a big deal. Just pay attention and be that pro driver. Like, we don't hire brand new drivers. And we have a lot of drivers here that, have been driving for a number of years. And actually, believe it or not, Jamie, these incidents I'm talking about, they were all drivers that have had 8, 9, 10 years or more of experience.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because we get complacent.
Get complacent.
Right? So some of these younger guys, that we call steering wheel holders, or all those funny names that are out there now, right? They're actually a little bit more careful because they're it's fresh in their mind, and they know they're not a pro, and they're not getting complacent, right? So the machine is always bigger than you. Respect the machine, and just do a good job. We want to make sure you're safe, right? That's number one. So we don't want to make sure that everybody is safe and you're getting home to your loved ones in the same condition you're leaving. So it can't drive that home enough.
Yeah. And all under the banner of trip planning, if you take some time to do some careful trip planning, what do you need? How long is it going to take you to get there? Being very careful about thinking through all the different things you'll need to get to your destination. It'll help in the long run be efficient and make more money for you. What I mean by that is if you take some time to calculate your ETA, again, this time of year, add a little extra time to get there safely with all the traffic and all the weather, you'll find that your driver manager gets that ETA information, estimated time of arrival, and what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, cool, how early is my driver going to be?
Yep.
Do I need to move that appointment up or back accordingly? Do I have no option to move the appointment, therefore we have a yard we can relay that load to and get my driver on his or her next load so get more miles in for that week?
Yep.
And so all that information comes from you calculating that careful
But
ETA.
it can't be you updated your ETA that was supposed to be at 6 p.m. tonight, and all of a sudden you're going to be here at 9 a.m. instead, and you updated at 7 or 8 o'clock this morning and expecting to get to the next load right away. Like, we got to have some
good information.
Yeah, we got to have good information, and it's got to be as soon as possible, right? So we can plan for that. It's very hard to be reactive, especially in this market where we're not overbooked by 20, 30, 40% like we were during COVID, or 100% during COVID sometimes. Mm-hmm. We don't always have another load just sitting there ready to go, right? We got to plan for some of those things. So be mindful of that. And then while we're on this topic, I want to let everybody know something that Harry, my brother Harry wanted to make sure everybody knows is when you're planning your trip, please plan to be on the bigger routes and the bigger highways. Mm-hmm. We got drivers going around random places and random little highways just because it's going to save them 10 or 15 minutes. And guess what? If a tire blows out or something happens, they're stranded for 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours sometimes because there's nothing nearby. Mm-hmm. So don't take those off roads and those random little highways, if you can avoid it, right? Please avoid those and try to stay on the main routes.
Yep, good word. Let's talk real quickly about productivity. We've got some drivers that have been running us with CHEEMA Freight Lines for quite some time, and they're regularly getting over 3,000 miles a week. But the other side of that is also...
It's a little bit slower, right?
Sure.
The market is definitely slower, so we're not getting as many miles as we used to get for sure. We know that. We're 100% aware of that, and we're bringing on more freight to try to keep it going. But the characteristics of the freight are changing. Everything has just changed. It's just the market. We're in a lull, right? We got to kind of hang through it, and everybody's in the same. They're in the same boat. Go talk to some of the bigger fleets, some of the medium-sized fleets, or smaller. Heck, some of the smaller fleets aren't making it. Mm-hmm. It's tough. It's really, really tough out there. And fortunately, there's gonna. I think we're gonna talk about this later, but we're in a good position with our freight and what we haul and all those things. We're healthy and we're rocking and rolling. But it's not the same as it was, right? We got to be nimble and we got to be flexible and we got to make sure we're servicing the heck out of every single load.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking about how productive drivers can be, but the opposite is that's also true, right? We've got some folks that are averaging 2,300 miles a week.
Yeah, we've got a large portion of the fleet that's not even hitting 2,300 miles. And now all those people that are live that are listening to me going, yeah, I know because I'm not getting the loads or whatever. Trust me, I understand. So what I want to do is as we bring on more customers, as we bring on more freight, the message even before this has been, let us know early, right? So be as proactive as you can. Our driver managers are working for you to try to make sure you're the most productive, and they're working with the planners, and the planners are working with customer service. And sometimes we're walking into an area where we need 30, 40 loads that day out of one area. And sometimes we're walking into an area where we're 30, 40 loads overbooked in that area. So it's, it's hard, right? We're puzzle making here, right? And so because of that, just be proactive and get ahead of it, talk to your driver manager, say, hey, I'm going to be there at this time. You know, can I get something else? Or I can deliver this early. Can we check? And then our driver manager should be checking with the planners to see, hey, can we get this driver on another load? Or can we deliver this early? Sometimes we might be able to deliver early, right? Or is there a better load that we can deliver early and to keep that driver moving? So do your part of working with your driver manager and proactively communicating them and say, hey, what's next? What's my pre-plan next? And I know everybody's used to saying, you know, in the past, we would send the pre-plans out early. And we're trying to get back to that. But if we don't have freight in an area, it's hard to send the pre-plan early because we're still booking all day long for the next load, right? And so our goal is to try to get all the pre-plans assigned and your pre-plans to you before you deliver your load, right? And hopefully the day before you deliver your load. That's ideal, and that's what we're pushing to get. And we got more freight coming on, like I said, so we will get back to that. But in the meantime, if you don't have a pre-plan, please ask your driver manager, hey, I'm going to be there at this time, just letting you know, please line up my pre-plan. And driver managers, if you're listening to this, please work with the planners, be proactive, see where your trucks are, and let's get the pre-plans rolling, because that's the only way sometimes, as they're busy trying to book freight with customer service, that's the only way we're going to be able to get ahead, right? Even I'm working hard to try to book loads with everybody. It doesn't matter. We're working hard to keep the fleet moving, and keep the revenue and the miles running. But you got to do your part of trying to control your own destiny a little bit and work with your driver managers. And I assure you, on this side, we're working hard to try to do the same. But let's make it a team effort from both sides, and I promise you, the results will be there.
Let me give you a little illustration. This is something I usually share in orientation when I'm speaking. If I have a class of 10, and I say, if I gave all 10 of you the same load, say it picks up here in Washington, goes to Phoenix, Arizona, it's about a 1,400-mile run, depending on which route you take. I said, I give the same load to all 10 of you drivers. I guarantee most of you will get there at a different day, different time. And so if I don't know from you when you plan to be there, it's just a guessing game, right? So how do I need 10 loads out in 3 days? Do I need 5 loads out in 3 days and 5 loads out in 4 days? I don't know unless you communicate that information to me. That's why it's so important we talk about trip planning, figuring out your ETA. That way, as we're looking ahead to book freight ahead, we have accurate information. Because if we just guess and all of a sudden we book 10 loads, on Thursday and we need half of them for Friday, all of a sudden we got a service problem, right?
Right, exactly.
So communication
is the key. Yeah, we can't control traffic. We can't control, all these non-controllables, but we can control communication. And that's the same message I tell our customer service team, I tell our internal teams, is that's the number one thing we can control is communication to our customers, letting them know we're going to be late or we're going to be early or those things. So please do your part and communicate early, and go down that route. So
cool. Well, let's have a little bit of fun. Not too long ago, we posed the following question to our CHEEMates on one of our social media channels, and we asked, what questions do you have for Harman CHEEMA? We're going to put them on the spot and ask them all sorts of questions that are from you. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Q&A with Harman CHEEMA. The first one is, anytime I get done using our bathrooms, there's no butler. There's no butler there holding a towel for me. What gives? I think he's joking.
Did you let G's off work?
He goes on and says, the shop also refuses to spec my truck at 80 miles per hour. They're mean. He's kids, and I digress. He says, on a serious note, just being curious is all, what's the ultimate goal regarding expansion, specifically around territory? That's the only question I have, LOL. He does add a PS, will tacos ever be payable via EFS? Expansion, territory expansion.
I don't like talking too much about this in public because our competitors are always watching. I know that for a fact because we can see who's watching. But I think it's important for our drivers to know. So I'll just say it, right? We've grown a lot over the last few years. We know that, right? And we are running about 450 company trucks today. We're running about 80 owner-operators, so well over 500 trucks. We're hitting close to 2,000 trailers, and we got new ones being built right now. But going back to kind of that insurance thing, we were able to keep some of those costs flat because scale, right? We got bigger, our group got bigger. So economies of scale in this industry are very important. And so because of that, the goal was to continue to grow, get to that scale size where we're important to the customer, right? So we can do 50, 60 loads a week for that customer or more. And so that way we're important to them, and we can handle the business, because a lot of the small guys right now, 100 trucks less, or 150, 200 trucks less even, they're really struggling because they don't have the scale and they don't have the customer base because they can't get it. So we were able to keep things moving because of our scale. So that's why we kept growing, and we're still growing. But the plan is next year, some of these paper cuts or whatever you want to call them, Jamie, growing pains, right? Which we don't have a lot. We do a lot of good stuff, and we're going to cover all the great things we've done too at some point, this month. But and all the wins, and celebrate those, because it's not always bad. We do a lot of good stuff for our customers, for our drivers, everybody out there, right? But we're not going to do a ton of growth next year. We're going to kind of get better at what we do, get some more freight, get some better freight, upgrade some stuff that we don't like that maybe we're having to haul right now because of the market, and get back to engineering some of those lanes like we used to, get back to the routes, right? And we still do a lot of that, don't get me wrong, right? But how do we get the extra 150 trucks or 200 trucks that we've added over the last few years, doing some of the same stuff our core does or has been doing, right? Because that's CHEEMA. That's what we do. So it just takes a while to put it together, and that's what we're doing, and the market doesn't help. So hopefully that makes sense, James. Does that make sense?
I'm following you.
Yeah.
I'm following you.
So we're going to continue to grow. Like we mentioned, we're in Dallas, we're in Texas, we're in New Mexico and the mountain states now. That's going to kind of stay the territory we're going to stay at, and continue to build density in every market, and have more opportunities for drivers, and start hiring out of some of those other markets as well.
All right, that's good. We got several questions here. So the next one is, are we going to be keeping the same medical insurance we currently have? And when is open enrollment?
Wow, didn't we just talk about that?
We did. When is open enrollment?
It's right now.
Right now. So from December 8th through the 18th are the exact dates. And again, you have gotten all that information via email, so check your email and find that info out. And no, we are not making any changes to the medical insurance. Premiums are staying flat, and coverage are staying the same, to answer that part. Third one, off the topic, can you tell me what the tassels in the windshield of some trucks we see on the road mean or represent? Is it like a guardian angel thing, keeping drivers safe? You know what he's talking about? Like when you drive down the road, like in the windshield up above, you see like a little curtain with the little tassels that hang down. They're asking if that symbolizes anything or what that might mean.
So here's a little funny. So Jamie and I took a road trip a couple years ago, maybe, right? And I was like, Jamie, look, that's a Punjabi driver's truck. That's a Punjabi driver. He's like, how do you know? Just look at the windshield. So obviously everybody knows I'm also Punjabi. I can speak both languages and can speak English just fine for all you haters. No accents. But anyways, it's just kind of a design thing, right? The drivers in India kind of like to put that in their windshields as well. So that's all they're doing.
Nice. Okay, cool. Next question, can we get dedicated runs?
We do. We have plenty of dedicated runs. Right? Can we get more? Yeah, that's what we're working on. We're trying to get more.
So, yeah, we talked to, there's sometimes I like to kind of take this opportunity to talk to drivers about what a dedicated run even is, right? So there's dedicated, there's engineered. So dedicated is usually when the customer's footing the bill for X number of trucks to be dedicated only to that customer.
That's not very popular anymore, because during COVID and all that, when they couldn't get trucks, they were like, yeah, we'll buy your truck for the week. That's true dedicated. They're paying for the truck for the week. Doesn't matter if we run empty, loaded, whatever. That's true dedicated. Now it's more like, hey, we can kind of give you these loads most of the time when their customer orders them. And then we try to do our best to try to engineer them. So we've got drivers that just run between Northern California and the Pacific area, right? Sumner area, whatever, and back and forth twice a week, 3,200 miles every week, like clockwork, and some of them have been doing that for 8, 9, 10 years. That's what you call an engineered run. It could have 4 or 5 customers going north, 4 or 5 customers going south, but it's usually the same people over and over. That's the best scenario, and that's what we're trying to get more and more of those things along all the routes. So it's predictable, consistent, predictable home time, consistent paychecks and miles. So that's the ultimate goal, and we're trying to get more of that.
Yeah, more of that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
All right.
There is a method to the madness here.
And we do have that already up and running. Just more. More is what I'm hearing. The next one is, what about the notion of holiday pay? Okay, this is a hot topic. I've never worked anywhere that didn't have holiday pay. Would this ever be considered? Literally, my only downside I've found here with CHEEMA. Everything else is fantastic. Love to hear the thought process of not having holiday pay. It seems nuts to me. How would you want to respond to that? Holiday pay for drivers.
You're right. It's a little nuts. Trucking, this industry is very nuts. What we try to do, we try to focus on putting all we can into your variable pay, into your mileage pay, into your pay that you can earn every day, and try to keep that as high as possible. So we pay detention after 1 hour. We don't get paid for detention until 2 hours or 3 or 4, depending on our contract with the customer. But I tell if as long as you're there on time and you send in your forms or your macros, then we're able to track it, and we will pay you detention after 1 hour, $20 an hour. So that way you're taken care of. So we'll do things like that. We are the top leader in mileage pay right now. For starting drivers and drivers that have been here a while. We have our monthly bonus, right, if you hit a certain amount of miles, and there's a longevity multiplier on that as well. So the longer you're here, the more your mileage bonus continues to go up. So we have that. So we have some of those things where you can, if you just drive more and you work harder, you can actually do better than some of these companies that maybe pay lower base and don't have bonuses and those kind of things, but then they pay holiday pay. So at the end of the year, if you average it out, divided by your miles, you're actually probably doing a lot better. And we've done that scenario multiple times, and so that's why we try to put a lot of focus into that. Speaking of mileage pay and all that stuff, a lot of our competitors that were doing some crazy rates and all that during this crazy last few years, and paying a lot, crazy amounts. And we've upped our pay as well, right? But a lot of them have reduced it. And we're getting drivers from other fleets where they got cut back on pay by 10 cents a mile even. And some of these, it was too good to be true, right? And some of those companies didn't make it. So we're seeing some of that now. They're struggling, and they're having to cut pay and all that. And we're proudly saying we are not cutting driver pay. That's something that's, I hope we never, ever have to do.
All right. The next question. It says, okay, here I go. Please consider turning up some trucks to at least 70 miles per hour, especially the new states like Idaho, Utah, Montana, and now whispers of Texas. Swift, another carrier, is at 69 miles per hour. Legend is at 73. We are way better than Legend, LOL. That's what he says.
I agree. LOL.
Maybe circumstances like years of experience, safety record, et cetera, turn mine up, and I'll do all those states and more. Thanks for this forum, Linda. Been waiting for something like this.
Well, we don't need our name and Legend in the same sentence, right? So we'll just skip that part. But speaking of speed, yes, we heard you. It's a common topic that comes up quite a bit. All of our trucks are at 65 right now, right? We have on the radar, we're going to work on a scenario where you can get X amount of time for passing and whatnot to get more. But the higher the speed, the more fuel you burn.
Yep.
So we got to keep that in mind. Right now, with the rates and the market being super low, we got to not just cut costs, we got to be efficient as much as possible everywhere, right? And now, yes, we get the opposite of that. Well, if I can get 5 more miles, I can run 5 more miles an hour, potentially 50 more miles a day, so I can be more productive. Yes, you're right. So what we're going to do is we're looking at that now, and we're going to come up with some ideas, whether, maybe you can get a little bit more speed on cruise or some of those things to help with the fuel MPG. But at the same time, idle time is a huge issue right now. I'm seeing we're spending lots of money, upwards of $50,000 to $60,000, $70,000 a month or more, because of how much our fleet is idling. Now, I know it's cold. I don't expect you to, shiver and not be and be uncomfortable in your truck, but we pay a lot of money for these electric APUs or EPUs or IPUs or whatever the heck they call them. Learn to use them correctly. Jamie, can we get a video out on something on how to use those correctly? I think we should. Yes. So, prep your temperature before you park, right? Get it set up to where it's comfortable in the bunk before you park, probably 2 or 3 hours, so it's comfortable, it's there. And these electric APUs are designed to keep that temperature there for several hours, so we don't have to idle. So to get the speed, yes, we're working on it. I don't know what it's going to be, but we gotta we got to get the fuel consumption down, so we got to get our idle time down. So we're going to start working with drivers to start working on cutting that idle time, and getting smarter about it. And some of the drivers that maybe aren't trained on how to use these units that we pay for on the trucks, because if we're not going to use them, guys, I'm not going to spend the money on them. I'm spending $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a truck times 400 trucks. You guys can do the math. Are we going to burn that much fuel or not? I don't know. We got to look at that. And I know a lot of drivers love them. But if we can't get the idle time down, we're not using them, then there's no point of spending money on these things.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So it's coming. Hang in there.
All right. Let's see. I will start with the question everyone is pondering. As a DM, one of our driver managers, this one comes from a DM. I see freight this time of year picks up and generally lasts a few months. I believe the freight is on the rise for the holiday season. What kind of positivity can you give our drivers to boost their hopes? Daniel, one of our drivers, adds, I would say tacos would boost my hopes. Thank you, Daniel.
Get Daniel some tacos, will you?
Get that boy some tacos. We did get a taco truck for driver appreciation this year.
Yeah. Yeah, we're right in the middle of holiday season, and freight is picked up a little bit. It's probably going to slow down a little bit in January. It always does, right? But it definitely did not pick up as much as anybody anticipated or any of that. So it's been slow. There's no secret. This year's been slow. I anticipate, hopefully, we can get out of this lull some point, after Q1 of next year, right? So we got a few more months to kind of hunker down and hang in there. And like I said, we've got a lot of opportunities right now. You know how many bids we've done since October 1st?
More than 5?
So a lot of people don't know this, but mostly every year or 2 years, mostly 1 year, we do annual bids every year with our customers or new customers to try to win business and routes. And we do an annual bid, and it's bid season right now, right? So between October and March-ish is usually the big bulk of the bid season. And already since October 1st, we've done, what was your guess?
I said more than 5.
We've done about almost 60 bids so far at our size. So
I was right.
That's quite a bit. And there's several more that just came through this week that we got to work on. So there's new opportunities, and our sales team and I are working hard to try to get into more and more business. More preloads and all those things that our drivers want, and try to win some of that to keep things going. So we're working hard on this side.
Well, I think a couple of factors that we might just not put 2 and 2 together all the time is taking care of our existing customer base.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you take care of our existing customer base, deliver freight on time, they want to see CHEEMA come back and cover more of their freight. So growing existing business in addition to adding new business is the best combination, best recipe for that.
That's right.
And we have a great sales team on that new business front as well. Next question is, at a previous company, they had a recognition program where when you hit 120,000 miles, they give you a ring. And at every additional 120,000 miles, i.e. 240,000, 360,000, 480,000, they would put a diamond around the center stone. I love this recognition because it gave me something to look forward to, as well as I took great pride in. Is this something CHEEMA Freight Lines would consider doing?
I like it. I don't know if we'll do rings or what we'll do, but hey, why not? Jamie, figure it out.
I'll figure it out. I love the idea. Great
Yeah.
suggestion. Very good. We can rip that off. Oh, wait, here we go. Small request if possible. Is it possible to separate empty trailers from loaded trailers at CHEEMA yards? I've experienced a lot of time lost looking for an empty. I'm an organized person. My OCD kicks in when things are out of place. Just a thought. That's really all. No complaints.
I agree, which is why we need stripes, because we can't park in yards. But yes and no, right? Obviously, we're trying to get empties in a certain area and loadeds in a certain area, so that way we can kind of keep that organized. But a lot of times we know empties are not easily found, right? Because they're loaded, which is actually a good problem to have, right? We need empties too, but we're trying to keep the trailers loaded as much as possible. So it's hard to designate areas of the yard to be just empty, especially if the loaded is full. We got to use the real estate. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. We'll keep doing our best.
Yeah. And trying to mirror that at each terminal location, right?
Right.
So Lathrop is going to be a construction zone here pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
And we'll have the opportunity to say, once that lot is paved, how we want to organize that.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, the paving in Pacific is just wrapping up, too. So it's looking really tight here, Pacific Washington.
It's been raining here.
Yeah, other than that.
Been cold. Got our jackets on.
Next one, we only have a few more of these. It says, considering how many truck companies have closed their doors as of late, I'd be interested in knowing what CHEEMA's game plan is to prevent that from happening here. Also, not a complaint, but a suggestion, as inflation remains high and shows no signs of changing anytime soon, and the price of everything is pretty ridiculous, it's getting harder and harder just to get by. A living wage in my state for 2 people with 2 kids is $30 an hour, and the living wage only affords the bare minimum. Maybe just a review of driver pay to ensure we are all able to meet our needs while working at CHEEMA. I know times are rough all around and hate to bring it up, but I feel it's something we may need to be addressed. Do we review driver pay?
Yeah. So, I agree, 100%, all of those, but it's tough. Rates are going backwards; they're going down. There's really no room for any of that right now. So we just, got to keep going and try to be more efficient, run more miles, and just keep rocking and rolling and delivering more freight on time. And so it's just a tough position to be in with the economy. I agree. Inflation sucks. Just the economy and freight's down. So a lot of supply, a lot of companies are shutting down. Yes, you're right. But I got some friends in the business, and we like to call, there was a lot of COVID carriers that came out of nowhere over the last few years that, just came in, bought a bunch of trucks, shouldn't have never been in the business anyways because they're not true truckers, they were COVID truckers, and now they're struggling because they built their business plan around making all this crazy money during crazy times that were kind of fake, right? And so as those companies don't make it and they leave the market, that's going to ultimately help. I hate to say this, I hate to wish bad on anybody, and that's not what I'm trying to do, but trucks leaving and these smaller companies going away, right, that aren't good operators, that should have never been truckers in the first place, like I mentioned, that's only going to help the true truckers like us, and the guys that are in it for the long run. It's only going to help us, get things back to normalize and get some more freight, because it's a supply and demand game, right? There's too much supply in the market right now. That's going to keep rates down. So until the supply goes away, the rates are going to continue to go down. So as you're driving down and you see some of these truck sales or used truck sales, there's a ton of used trucks parked all over the place that were selling like hotcakes and you couldn't get them earlier. Now they're just sitting around everywhere because nobody wants to buy them because there's no freight for these guys. Mm-hmm. So what was the first question? How are we going to do this? Mm-hmm. So the way we're, like I said, I don't want to give out too many secrets, but we're going to continue to haul recession-proof freight. We're going to continue to haul on time and deliver on time for our existing customers. We're going to try to grow our footprint and our market share with those existing customers by doing a good job and delivering on time. So thank you, drivers, for doing that. And those of you that don't do that, get on it. We need to deliver on time. And so we're going to continue to do that and start taking over market share of some of the weaker players and continue to grow our company. So it's survival of the fittest, and it's not for the weak.
Well, and drivers that have only been here for maybe a year and a half or less haven't seen. I've been here almost 7 years now, coming up on my 7-year anniversary.
Wow.
Pat myself on the back, coming up in February. And in that time, one thing I was remarked about my first several years is every year we did a review of driver pay, driver compensation.
Right.
And some years we were delighted to pass that increase onto our existing driver base. And we increased driver pay like every other year for several years.
Right.
And then we also
and we hope to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Right? We just got to get back out of this and get rock and roll, and we'll do it again.
We introduced a driver bonus, and then we enhanced that bonus like a year and a half later. And so there's been amazing things happen in the past several years. And so some of those drivers that are maybe not been here quite as long haven't seen that. But it's been a very generous driver environment for compensation. And it's just a funny year. It's just a fun year this year.
And
so we go there. We look to do that.
And we it's we got green trucks, right? And it's not always greener somewhere else. And we see a lot of drivers that leave because they thought there would be greener, pastures elsewhere. They're coming back because it wasn't so green, right? And so we've got good freight, we've got good company, we've got good people, we got good drivers, good equipment, all those things. And it's not always greener somewhere else, right? So we're getting a lot of reapplies from drivers that had left and wanting to come back.
Well, and here's a response actually to that question. It comes to us from Joe. Go Eagles, by the way.
No,
it says,
go Niners. Hey, did you watch the game? Sorry, Joe.
Oh, jeez. They play them again. The Eagles. They beat us, and then they beat the Eagles.
Yeah, we're killing both birds.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I'm going to read this from Joe. The economy
Go
will
Niners.
improve. So this is from a driver. It's in a lull. Happens all the time. I don't get weird about this. If you've been in the industry any length of time, we go through these. Breathe. The company is great. It's been great for the 4 years I've been here, and even weathering the current economic situation, it's the best I've been to when things were tough. I totally mean what I say when I'm proud to be here. Do some weeks kind of suck? Yep. Are some loads not the best? Yep. Does it even itself out in the end? Yes, it does. Some people really don't know how good we have it here. It's like no company I've been to before. Everyone thinks that the grass is greener anywhere else. It's really not. Thank you, Joe. All right, next question. Are there any plans to add a local position in Fresno, California?
Not at this moment. There's not enough need or enough business in that market to justify that.
And do we sometimes cover locally out of Lathrop sometimes
Yeah.
to get a delivery to Fresno? It's a
Yeah,
long day,
and
but-
we'll have some freight in the Fresno yard, drop yard that we need to deliver sometimes, but it doesn't justify having a full-time position yet.
Okay, maybe one day. What are the chances of CHEEMA starting a mentorship and driver training program?
Its chances are good. Something we definitely want to do and on the radar, and hopefully we can get that started soon.
Can I take that one step farther?
Sure.
It's already been in conversation, and we've got kind of an initial list.
Wow. All right.
It's something we would have liked to put into effect earlier this year, but we've had some pretty key system updates that have kind of taken precedence over that. But we look to make that a priority going into 2024. So great suggestion, and we are right there with you. Next one, and I think the second to last one will do. I know a lot of teammates ask for gate codes and combos. Can we get some business cards that have all that info on it so we can have it with us and readily available? Just a thought. Great for new drivers and orientation too.
Maybe. We're working on new driver-facing platform right now that we're testing with some drivers, 10 of them, right? Hopefully we can announce soon and start launching it. I actually think it's coming real soon, right?
Very, very soon.
And so with this new technology, we'll be able to embed some of this stuff within the system and have some kind of manuals and all that electronically at your fingertips.
The method behind the madness is we try to avoid putting that on printed material because if it gets out of the hands, if it gets recycled or discarded, especially if a driver moves on
Or it gets
from the
old.
company,
We change the codes. What now?
yeah, then it's invalid. It's bad
Right.
data, and it can get in the wrong hands. And we want to protect those driver amenities for our staff, for our team.
I got something on paper before you move on.
Okay.
End of the year is coming up, which means we're gonna have new plates or stickers for renewal. We're gonna have IFTA stickers, New Mexico permits, Oregon permits, all of those. We're actively right now putting together folders for everybody. So your driver manager should be reaching out soon to tell you to come pick up your. Actually, hopefully, the driver manager should put them on because maybe I've seen stickers in odd places. Not every. I'm just saying, we got to make sure we put them on in the right spots. So that's coming. So heads up on that. Be aware all your plates on all of our green trucks expire January 1. So we'll need to make sure there's a grace period, so don't panic. We'll need to make sure we get those new IFTA stickers and the stickers for the plates and your new registrations and cab cards and all that good stuff in your trucks, hopefully pretty
Perfect.
soon.
Great reminder. Thank you for that. And we'll get fleet-wide communication out that to reinforce that and remind you again. A great reminder, Harman. Here's the last question that came from that outreach. It says, just a thought, if I'd seen this site prior to coming to work for CHEEMA, I'd probably have switched over way earlier because reading these posts says a lot about the positivity of this company. When I signed on it as well, it asked if I was a CHEEMA driver, and it asked for my truck number, referring to our Facebook Employees Only group page. Maybe open this Facebook page up to the public so everyone can see that the drivers here really like it.
Good idea, and I see where you're coming from that, but we really want to keep this closed for just internal drivers to help them with issues or help, have that support there for the drivers. So I wish there was more of an outside page. Maybe one day there could be, but I don't think we're going to have the bandwidth to manage that piece. But we like to just kind of keep it internal because if not, then it's going to get out to our competitors, which are always trying to be like us.
Well, and you might even argue that one of the reasons that makes it great is that it is just our internal team,
Right.
drivers, office
Yeah,
staff,
you're going to get
support staff.
spammed. You're going to get all this other stuff with random people, right?
You'll get convoluted with other competitors peppering in some nasty grams.
That's right. Maybe they were going to try to recruit out of there.
That's right.
I would.
I get the idea. The heart is in the right place, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is a very special community to be able to talk back and forth with drivers in other states. And when you have, looking for parking, looking for a great place to eat, all that stuff, our drivers are the best, and it's on display right there. Well, that ends the driver Q&A with Harman CHEEMA. Great suggestions, great questions, great work, Harman. Proud of you. You handled that well. And that brings us to the end of our content. I just want to put a little recruiting plug out there. What makes this place so incredible? Do you know the answer? I'll tell you. It's the people, starting with you and everybody you've brought on to support this operation. Our drivers specifically are the best in the game.
That's right.
Not only are they great at what they do, but they're just awesome to hang out with. In fact, I got to hang out with a whole bunch of them earlier this week. We brought on 8 guys down in Lathrop this week and had fun getting to know each and every one of them. Just awesome class.
And we love our drivers, and we love our teammates. And for those of you wondering, great, 8 more drivers, that means less freight for me. That's not true. I know what you're thinking. Look, we do a good job. We have a great team, but we're not for everybody. There's some drivers that come through, they don't work out. We voluntarily move on. So there's a need to keep recruiting for that, right? I heard some messages, why do you keep hiring so many drivers? Well, and then some aren't safe. If they're not safe, we don't want them here on the team because it's impacting the rest of the team, so we got to hire those replacements. So there's some of that going on, and sometimes maybe we're not the best fit, or they thought they were going to like doing trucking over the road or whatever, and it's not a good fit. So no hard feelings anywhere, but we got to keep hiring to keep the machine moving. So that's how we do that.
And I always remind drivers that growth should be a fruit of a good, healthy company.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a good thing,
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
It could be the other way, right? We could be not be growing and going backwards. So we could probably say we're going to continue to grow even next year, if even if it's a little bit less smaller, smaller growth. But we're going to continue to keep chipping away at it, continue to build that scale, and continue to grow, keep bringing new equipment on, keep modernizing our fleet, and keeping it fresh and young. So, and your feedback, we're only a good company because of your feedback. So don't forget your weekly work counts. Please give us your feedback, good, bad, and ugly. We get it all. It's not always great reading the ugly, but hey, that's how we get better.
We're big kids.
Yeah.
We can handle it.
And we see it all. I read them all.
That's right. Interested in joining the team, give us a call. I've given you the number before. I'll give it to you here again. It's 844 or 424-3362. Give us a call. Talk to one of us on driver services, one of our recruiting specialists. We love to talk trucking. We'll talk trucking with you. And if you're interested in joining our team, you can go to teamcheema.com and apply
That's
now.
right.
Well, this has been a fun episode. Warmest holiday wishes to all of you at
Happy
home
holidays.
or wherever you're watching this episode. Happy holidays. Drive safe. Be kind to all those professional drivers out there. After all, they're filling the shelves with all the Christmas goodies. They're the real Santas this time of year.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank
Good job,
you.
Harman.
Be safe.